And how often does she do that daily?
Oh, my word. She 8 to 10 times a day.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, we have to. Well, and especially children. There are adults who don't have to check quite that often.
Right.
Usually before your major meals of the day and before bedtime. But as a child, you know, they're active. Activity can make your blood sugars drop. If she's sick, heaven forbid, children pick up colds and viruses all the time. If they're sick, then the blood sugars tend to go way up. And the higher they are, the more likely she is going to experience severe complications down the road.
The higher they are, the more likely.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's important to keep it in that normal range. And then once they go too low, there's that risk of seizures, brain damage, and certainly even death. So it's a fine balance, and you always have to check you know, the blood sugars, and then you have to count every portion of food that goes into your body, into your mouth, to count the carbohydrate intake.
Is this right? Your 10-year-old daughter is doing that?
Well, she is. She really, you know, Mom helps her some as far as counting the carbs.
But at school, yeah, I mean, you're not around. Sure,
absolutely.
She'll be grabbing anything out of someone else's lunchbox.
She's so mature. You know, if she has, you know, kids have birthday parties and cupcakes with icing and all that, and she knows she can't have that. And she'll ask for a Ziploc bag, and she'll put it in her little Ziploc bag and bring it home to me and say, Mom, this is what they had today. Could I have this later today? And if her blood sugars go low and she needs a little energy, I might take the icing off and let her have part of the cupcake. But she has to be disciplined in that manner, or she's not going to be around very long. I mean, in fact, it's staggering to me, I guess, still today to think that the average diabetic will live 15 years less than the non-diabetic. So, and again, she's had it all of her life. So
the average diabetic will live 15 years less than the non-diabetic.
Absolutely. About 15 years is taken off their life.
That's a startling figure. And of course, even just whether your daughter's watching right now, I mean, that's a difficult thing for anyone to hear, to think that through, and to know that the real goal there, as you said, a lot of the researchers' children have diabetes. A lot of the folks raising dollars, the $122 million which was invested last year alone into research. Clearly there's a push there, and more than $1 billion raised since its inception. So clearly a lot of efforts there. Of course, if you're able to utilize insulin, there's still a real desire there to push forward. I know in trying to come up with some questions earlier this morning, there's a real need even for folks who are utilizing insulin to come up with a cure.
Well, sure. I think that everyone that we know either has a loved one who has diabetes, a friend who has diabetes. You know, it's an enormous cost to our healthcare system. I really don't know the figures on that.
Oh, yeah, they're startling. JDRF.org has them.
Right. I've seen them before on that, and so I think that this is a group effort. This isn't something that we should sit by and say, well, that family next door has diabetes, we'll let them worry about it. It's something that we should all be involved in and all feel good about taking a part in, and knowing that we made a difference somehow down the road when that cure is found.
Yeah. A lot of the folks out at the walk, I mean, anecdotally, when you're thinking about the walk, a lot of those were folks other than just loved ones of family members, or family members of children with diabetes. There were a heck of a lot of folks out there who had no direct tie, but indirectly know it's critical to support.
That's right. It was very exciting to see, you know, these walk teams form together. There were family walk teams. There were company walk teams. We saw Bank of America out there with their bright red T-shirts on. And,
great.
It was very exciting to see a lot of the local businesses come in and realize that this is important and not to be taken lightly.
Glad you mentioned T-shirts. You brought a T-shirt with you this morning.
I did.
Yeah,
well,
tell us about the T-shirt, Crystal's Crusaders.
Absolutely. I wanted to brag on Crystal's T-shirt. Since she's 10 this year, she was old enough to design her own T-shirt with the help of Odyssey Printing. Thank you so much.
Yes, and Carolina Pavement Marking.
Absolutely. They bought our T-shirts for us, and Odyssey Printing gave us a terrific deal. And she said, I think Crystal's Crusaders would be good, Mom, because we're going to fight diabetes and win this battle.
Good alliteration there. Crystal's Crusaders, fighting to cure diabetes, 2007.
So we had about 20 of us showed up for our family walk team.
Is that right? All wearing these
Yes, all wearing these bright lime green shirts. So we stood out. It was easy to find each other. And actually, we have raised as a family walk team over the past couple of months just over $4,000.
Is that right?
Toward that effort of 85,000.
How many T-shirts did y'all have?
We ended up ordering 60 T-shirts, so we've got a few extra if you want one, Greg.
Good. Wow. Well, I tell you, speaking of T-shirts, this past Saturday we were out at Walk America, Coastal Carolina University, helping to save babies, obviously, much like the fight to find a cure for diabetes. And the Herald had bought 3,000 T-shirts.
Wow.
For 10 area schools, 300 per school, and they went out and sold and raised a ton of money.
Great.
Almost 20 grand, literally from the sale of T-shirts alone. So selling 3,000 T-shirts, and it is a great opportunity for businesses, and I hope you'll contact folks next year. A great opportunity for business. It was great for the Herald to see thousands of kids out this, or tons of folks out with a big Herald logo on the back, but at the same time knowing the goal of helping, in that instance, to save babies and fight prematurity, and in this instance, of course, to help find a cure to diabetes. It's a great idea, getting on T-shirts. That's a great thing. Well, I'm so glad Crystal did that. Of course, we've got this beautiful picture of Crystal here, and yes, absolutely, that's a beautiful shot. We want to highlight her. She's a beautiful young lady.
Thanks. She's a big girl now.
You and Scott both. Is that are you all from around this area?
Well, I grew up in this area.
Did you really?
Went to Socastee High School.
Oh, great.
Yes, and I'm back home now, living in Conway. And Scott is from Winston-Salem, the North Carolina area.
Good.
But this is home now to us. So.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And of course, with a newborn on the way, a lot. Have you all taken the time to even contemplate it on a relatively somber note to look into it? Can you find ahead of time if your child will be impacted by diabetes?
Right. Well, and some of the research that JDRF does as well, not only finding a cure, which is their main goal, but also things like vaccines. They're working on a vaccine right now to prevent diabetes because it's become almost an epidemic in young children now. And there is a way that you can do a blood test to determine the likelihood of your child developing type 1 by the time they're 30. And we have not done that in the past because there wasn't really, to me, I thought, well, you know, what are we going to do about it? But now that they're working on vaccines and working all these things, we're considering it. So it may be something that we do to both this child and Cameron in the future.
Right, right. What are some other things during the year that folks could do to help in raising dollars to find a cure to diabetes? Are there other events other than the walk that was held on March, was it 31st, March 31st?
Right, March 31st. Absolutely. Again, I think just staying in touch with that local chapter, they'll let you know of what does become available. But I know that annually they usually have a golf tournament, which is always very exciting. I know we held a golf tournament through Sparks Toyota that raised $2,500. And then they often have silent auctions and dinners and a lot of things that you can do throughout the year. So absolutely, I would just say get plugged in. Get plugged in if you want to make a difference to Rhonda and to the PD area walk.
That's great. And of course, you talked about, you said there's a good phone number if someone wanted to call at the 843.
Right, 222-2872.
Okay, 222-2872. And again, for viewers who may have missed you earlier, you mentioned an email address.
Right, that is PD, the letters PD, Diabetes Walk at bellsouth.net.
Okay, great. And the big national website, and they probably have links back to the local chapters.
And they do, yes. You can search the local chapter. Our local chapter is in Florence.
Right.
So you would need to type in Florence, South Carolina, but jdrf.org is the website.
That's fantastic. Monica, you know, as you think back to that first time, that experience back at your daughter's birth, I mean, around her birth at 9 months old, of having her diagnosed and recognizing that she was going to get beyond that cold, but it was a lot more than just a bad sinus infection. Had you ever contemplated that y'all would get through? I mean, you know, what was it like back then? Trying to imagine 10 years forward, or even thinking about that 10 years back.
Well, you know, initially I think that we go through what most parents go through, the shock. You don't really want to accept this, that this is your brand new baby that seems perfect, and then we went through a stage of fear. You know, it was horrifying. We had 5 days in the hospital to learn how to give shots to this newborn baby, and the talk of brain damage and seizures, and it was just terrifying. And knowing that this would never go away, that was one of the questions I asked. I said, well, don't children outgrow this? And the endocrinologist said, absolutely not. She'll have this for the rest of her life. And then, though, I think something inside you says, you know what, we're going to do this.
Right.
And we're going to make a difference, and we're going to live with this, and we're going to help others, and somehow turn this daily challenge, this battle, into a blessing for someone else.
Those are great words. I'm so glad you all have done that. Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate you.
Stay tuned to more Carolina People with Monica Bailey coming up next. I heard Monica say these powerful figures off camera. Every 3 minutes, an American dies from complications related to diabetes. Every 30 seconds, a new case is diagnosed in America. 184 million persons worldwide. 184 million. Not 184,000, 184 million persons worldwide impacted by the devastating effects of diabetes. These are a couple of powerful quotes at the JDRF.org website. But 2 teenagers and an 11-year-old. Listen to this. Listen to this. I already have problems with my kidneys, and I take medicine every day so my kidneys won't fail. I worry about what will happen if a cure isn't found soon. I don't have time to wait. That's an 11-year-old in Ohio. Diabetes is always here. You heard Monica say it earlier, and this child backs that up. There is never a vacation. It's like a bad dream that lasts all day, all year, for my entire life. A 16-year-old in New York, and this last quote, very powerful. Every day I have to endure up to 6 injections of insulin and more than 10, and you heard Monica say that, more than 10 finger pricks to keep me alive. What a key word. When my blood sugar is high, my head hurts, I feel angry and sad, it's hard to concentrate. When my blood sugar is low, I'm dizzy, shaky, and in danger of becoming unconscious. Emma Melton, age 16 in Massachusetts. This is not only impacting those children, but their loved ones. Make a difference. Make a difference. Go online to jdrf.org or call 843-222-2872.